We're talking about something very serious today. Throughout the video, you're going to see my shirt changes. It's not some
All right, let's hear what Normie Jesus had to say.
kind of like crazy, wacky, magic trick from America's Got Talent or anything. I actually filmed this video earlier this morning when the story first broke. It's the killing of Alex Preddy in Minnesota at the hands of border agents. And I made the video, but I was pretty heated and I wanted to kind of simmer down and take a break, so I went out before posting it. I just got home, and now even more angles and videos have been released that show beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is a 100% unjustified killing of an American citizen here. And it seems like the execution stems from them finding out that he had a gun on his person. His Second Amendment rights. In all of the videos that exist, there is not a single moment where he is reaching for the gun, brandishing it, threatening with it, or anything at all, and we have video that shows the entire interaction from start to finish. His name was Alex Preddy, a 37-year-old nurse who worked in the ICU at Minneapolis VA healthcare system, and according to the police chief, he is a U.S. citizen with no prior interactions with law enforcement outside of a couple of traffic tickets, and believed to be a lawful gun owner with a permit to carry. So for him to lose his life being shot multiple times by these agents, all because of him exercising his Second Amendment rights, which again, he wasn't trying to use as an intimidation tactic on the officers or anything like that. When they were beating him on the ground, pistol whipping him on the ground, they happened to see that he had a gun, apparently. He wasn't throwing it at them as like a threat or something, or brandishing it or anything. He simply had it on him, which he was well within his right to do, and he got murdered for it. This is completely unacceptable, and the drones that are somehow like parading around like this is some kind of victory or something is sickening. It should be viewed as treasonous by any real Americans when you see this footage. And they had the gall to say that Alex Preddy was like the instigator, labeling him a domestic terrorist I saw from a couple of places, claiming that he approached these agents with a 9mm. He approached them with a gun looking to start shit. But that is not true. In all of the videos you see, he has a phone in his hands. Not a gun in his hands, he has a phone in his hands. No sane person would ever mistake a phone for a gun. This is blatantly obvious what they're trying to do. And it's something they've been doing a lot recently. Trying to tell you that what you're seeing isn't real. Trust their words, not your eyes. That is completely outrageous, and people are willingly doing it. That's the craziest part. There are people that are like, oh, I saw he had his phone, but if they say it was a gun, well, that must have been a gun. I cannot believe we've reached this level of brainwashing. There are so many angles of this, and in every single one of them, you can see he has his phone in his hand, and at no point during this interaction did he ever, pull a gun on them or anything. And in fact, in one of the angles, you can even clearly see that the agents actually took the gun from him prior to him being shot. You can actually see what looks to be one of the agents disarming him, taking the gun out of its holster and running away with the gun prior to him being shot.
I'm glad that Charlie's making videos like this. I really am, because he commands such a massive audience. He is very influential with such a massive audience, and I do think that there are still people even in his community that are like also Asmongold fans and shit like that. Like, no one in my audience is like, when they see something like this, they're gonna go, "Oh, I don't know if that's the case." This is why his perspective is, I think, more important than mine. Even Philip DeFranco is not the same. Like me and Philly D have a similar audience. Oftentimes there's a lot of overlap. Charlie does have a very different reach. So I'm glad that he's standing up.
And if that wasn't definitive, there is something even more clear that I think is completely irrefutable for anyone that's actually looking. An agent takes Alex's gun out of its holster in front of the agent that pulls out his gun and shoots him. So he can see the gun has been taken out of the holster. And it is clear Alex Preddy has both hands on the ground. He does not have a gun in them. And an agent reaches in and takes it out of the holster right before another agent pulls out his firearm and shoots him in the back.
Honestly.
Just in case you somehow missed it, look, the agent in gray has his hand on Alex's weapon, which is still holstered. It was never unholstered. This agent takes it out of its holster before he runs away with it, and the officer right next to him is the one that pulls out his gun and shoots him. And now I want to show you the clearest video that shows everything that happened here and how it doesn't go how the authorities are saying that it did. That was Alex Preddy you saw walk by the camera right there. He has his phone in his hand, and then with his other hand, his open hand, no gun in it, is waving cars through. There is clearly no brandishing of a firearm here. He is not approaching agents with a gun or anything like that, and you will never see anything even remotely close to that happen.
Go. What the fuck is wrong with you?
In this section, you can again see Alex Preddy has his phone in his hand, and now he's trying to get some of the civilians away from these worms that are now starting to push them. And then one of them got pepper sprayed, and then he got pepper sprayed as well. And when he gets pepper sprayed, you can see his hand shoots in the air like a student about to try and ask the teacher a question. It is a wide open palm. There's no weapon in that hand, and in his other hand is still the phone. There is no gun anywhere here. And now this is when he starts getting beaten by the multiple officers there.
The fuck, people? The fuck is wrong with you? Honestly.
I'm going to stop the video right here because this is when Alex Preddy gets shot to death. This subhuman coward, you can see, pulls out his firearm and shoots him in the back, and then shoots him multiple times after as Alex Preddy lies on the ground. You can hear one of the agents says gun, and that's when this brain-dead troglodyte pulls out his firearm and starts shooting into Alex while he was still surrounded by his boys, mind you. This is like the antithesis to all training that agents go through, by the way, to shoot into a suspect while still being surrounded by authorities. You're going to get your own people shot too, by the way, you moron, you unbelievable homunculus. So he immediately starts dumping into Alex because someone said gun. But the gun, from the other angles we can see, had already been taken away from Alex, out of his holster. You can see one of the other agents running away with it. But again, he was never brandishing this firearm. And as an American citizen with Second Amendment rights and a lawful gun owner by all available information, he was allowed to have that gun on his person. It is not grounds to execute a man because you fucking freaked out and panicked because the guy you were beating and pistol whipping with 5 of your friends happened to be armed. He wasn't using it to try and like shoot anyone here or threaten them. They saw the gun, and then this guy just freaked out and murdered him. Shot him multiple times. This is indefensible. Completely indefensible. And the fact that they even took him to the ground in the first place and started beating him, with one guy pistol whipping him, by the way. In other angles, you can see a guy just like pistol whipping him like he's trying to hammer a nail in with his gun. Like, it should have never even been acceptable for that to happen. All Alex Preddy was doing was filming, and then when some civilians started getting pushed, he tried to help. And when one got pepper sprayed, he tried to help. From all available angles and evidence and videos here, it seems to be that's all he was doing. He even made an effort to try and show that he's not like a threat or something. Like, he threw his arm in the air, wide open, nothing in his hand or anything. He wasn't fighting back against the officers. He got taken to the ground and then immediately started getting beaten. Like, all because he was filming and trying to help other people around there, it seems. This is so sickening. And the freaks that are cheering this on and parading around like this is something to be celebrated are just scum. You're not even American. You're a drone if you actually think this is a good thing. All you care about is just like sucking wiener from the authorities now all of a sudden. You care more about just being on a team than you do thinking for yourself. It's tragic. It is embarrassing. This is crazy now that I'm seeing people justify this guy's murder because he had a weapon. Wake up. This is America. You can carry weapons. I sometimes carry a gun in public. I have friends who every day carry. It is your right as an American to carry a firearm if you so choose. That is not grounds for a murder. And based on all of the video footage, all of the available evidence, this guy was not brandishing it or anything like that. Thus, he wasn't threatening anyone or about to shoot someone with it, so they had to kill him to stop him. That doesn't seem to be the case. They're now just using the fact that he had a gun as a justification to kill him. That should be extremely alarming to anyone who cares about 2A. Like, again, him having it should not be an issue. And any real, actual American, like a real patriot, should be arguing for his right to carry, because it is something that we have the right to do, and that should not be a justification for this man being killed by these agents. This point that they're trying to beat into the empty minds of a lot of people that are trying so hard to justify it is that the only people being arrested and targeted by ICE are rapists and pedophile illegal aliens, which is just not the case. There definitely have been rapists and pedophiles that have been...
That's really important. That is a really important point, and I'm super glad that he's bringing this up. Okay, see? That's what nails it for me. Because this part of the conversation, I don't hear from even CNN half the time. Outside of myself and other leftist content creators, I rarely ever see this point get brought up. What he's saying right now is incredibly important.
And snatched up in all of this. And those rapists and pedophiles that have been caught and taken away, that's good. They shouldn't be out there breathing the free air. Great. But that's not all that's happening here. You could also right now march into the White House and arrest everyone in the White House, and you would get a ton of rapists and pedophiles. Why isn't that happening? If the goal is getting rapists and pedophiles off of American soil, thrown in the slammer, taking them away from society, why is it only just walking through the streets of Minnesota?
I have an answer for this as well. Okay, so this is something that I've already brought up many times over, especially today. The only rapists and pedophiles that ICE is actually apprehending are actually rapists and pedophiles that have already been apprehended by local law enforcement and are already serving their prison sentences, okay? They're already in prison. There is no world where ICE is just like going around and being like, wait, there's a rapist here and they're an undocumented immigrant and like they didn't go to jail for doing a rape. Like, okay, we'll go get him now. That would imply that if an undocumented immigrant does a rape or is a pedophile or whatever and gets caught, the government goes, oh, you're a rapist pedophile, but you also happen to be undocumented? Sorry, we have to let you go. That's not the case. That has never been the case. It's completely ridiculous. The only reason why they have any undocumented migrants that they're deporting with a criminal background is because they go to the jails directly. They go to the jails and they deport people before their sentences are done, which is even crazier. That's what's even crazier. And as a matter of fact, it's sometimes basically a free ride. Like that one guy who did a massive jewelry heist and then turned himself in as an undocumented immigrant, not for the jewelry heist itself, but the fact that he's an undocumented immigrant. So he was able to evade law enforcement. They deported him. They gave him a free trip back to his country.
Trying to do it. You would get significantly more rapists and pedophiles if you took ICE and brought them to the White House. An administration is actively covering up a massive child sex trafficking operation and letting tons of evil people get away with this, tons of clients. So if
I have said something erroneous in the past, and I have to correct this mistake. Time and time again, you have heard me say, there's no such thing as a real centrist. Every centrist is actually secretly right-wing, and I've never met someone who presents themselves as a centrist and then you scratch the surface of their point of view and they're like super pro-trans rights or whatever. I'm wrong. I think Charlie is the only person who presents himself as a centrist, but is actually hiding that he's more progressive than he actually lets on. Charlie is literally the only one. Every single other person who presents themselves as a centrist is unironically not a centrist. They're like super far right where they go, oh, this is common sense. Like whenever you hear someone go, this is common sense. This is common sense. I'm just a centrist. I'm just objective. This is just common sense. When they say that, that's in 99.9% of the time, they're not actually a centrist. There's no such thing, obviously. And they're secretly right-wing. MoistCritical Charlie is the only motherfucker who just lies about being a centrist and is actually left-wing. Like, at least left adjacent. What? You fall in love so fast, man? You're crazy? No. There have been many instances where, I mean, look, he's done the whole, like, Assange shit with, like, the Kayagate controversy. He's, like, he covered, like, the Pokemon cookie stuff, like, things that are, like, very clearly manufactured bait, right? For specific ordained enemies of the right. But he also has consistently defended trans rights, which I've given him props for in the past, both privately and publicly. Act like a chud, think like a woke. Yeah, that's how he. Yes, act like a chud, think like a woke. Charlie MoistCritical.
The goal is to get this kind of evil out of this country. Why would you not start with what is provably a spot that has so many of them? Also, that belief of like a secret pedophile ring was a very popular one among Trump voters for the longest time. And now that it has been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt to be real, legitimate reality, they are now just ignoring it. They have been proven correct that there was a huge pedophile ring of these powerful politicians, but because some of their favorite politicians are potentially wrapped up in it, they just want to drop it and forget about it. Absolutely unhinged, by the way. It's crazy. So many people for the longest time were adamant against like government surveillance and Big Brother watching them being a huge concern. Now, plenty of people are welcoming it with open arms and a huge smile on their face. For the longest time, people would be preaching about the importance of the Second Amendment and gun rights. And now, even with this, they're saying, well, he had a gun, which means that's an executable offense. So it seems like they now no longer believe in Americans' right to own guns or carry guns, which was a core component of like the right for a long time, where there was like this big fear about they're coming for our guns. And now the same people that were arguing like to protect that are now arguing against it, saying, well, this guy deserved to die because he had a gun with him. It's a fundamental right of Americans to have guns, gun ownership. You can carry them in public, too. Like, that, you shouldn't be killed for that. And in the footage here, it doesn't seem like he was brandishing it or anything. And also, the same people that only, like, a year and a half ago were constantly telling you to question the government, that you can't trust anything that comes out of the government, the authorities always lying to you, are now just willingly, blindly, unquestioningly following anything authorities tell them to believe in, and shut out any and all thought and just have the hive mind think for them. It is crazy because it seems like the only actual belief of some of these brainwashed drones is relentless cock gobbling. All they want to do is swallow boots and penis from the government. So if the administration or the news, which they used to hate the news, but now that the news just parrots points from big government that they like to clap their hands at like seals, they now just trust all of it all of a sudden, even though there's been no big change with these mainstream media outlets, by the way, that they used to not trust only a year and a half ago. But now, anytime they hear something from the news or anything that comes from the government, they will just immediately accept without a second thought, and then attack anyone else that is saying differently, or even just probing them to maybe think a little bit more about the narratives. Keep in mind, the government themselves are currently not even complying with their own laws that Trump has signed, like the Epstein Transparency Act, where the DOJ is still putting up a fight and are over a month late to compliance with releasing the Epstein files. They are still fighting tooth and nail to not release them, and even recently, only a week ago, outright said maybe there's no court that can force them to order this. They didn't even say maybe. I gave them a very charitable thing right there. They actually said courts can't force them to do this, and that if they don't comply, there's nothing anyone can do. They can't be sued. If the DOJ doesn't comply, go fuck yourself, pussy. That's basically their sentiment. They are not complying with their own laws, and yet people are still willing to overlook that in order to just keep like playing for the same team. It's like it's a competition to see who can think the least and who can regurgitate enough from the hive mind to be like the biggest super fan of their side. It's despicable. It's actually crazy. This is real sheep.
Dude, no, Charlie is more woke than he lets on, for sure. Especially because he doesn't let on that he is, like, I guess, quote unquote political at all, right? He's always been like that. It's just that, you know, there's definitely limits to, he is the wokest boy from Florida. Yeah. He's always been openly pro-labor. He's pro-trans. But he, for the most part, does this like balancing act. That's why I jokingly say he's the only quote unquote centrist that presents himself as a centrist, but is like secretly left-wing, even though 99.9% of the time when someone says like, oh, I'm common sense, I'm centrist, I'm apolitical, they just mean they're right-wing.
Behavior. I know a lot of these people like to say sheep, sheep, sheep for the longest time, but now they are actually the epitome of that. Here's just a little thought experiment if you can break through the programming for a second. Imagine what's happening in Minnesota was happening under Obama or Biden, where there were masked agents that were constantly surveilling you, and even at times asking for your papers, your documents to prove you're an American citizen, constantly needing to provide your private information to these masked agents. And these agents also had killed 2 American citizens. What do you think your response would be? Would you be like, oh yes, please, everyone needs to comply with this. This is good. This is what I want. This is what I look for in Obama or Biden.
I'm going to be honest, this doesn't work, I don't think, on the people who are still deluded, for the record. Like, I don't think anybody goes, you know what, he's right. I wouldn't like that. I wouldn't like that one bit. No, I mean, Alex Jones is the perfect representation of this. For years and years, he basically said that what is currently happening with, like, you know, federal law enforcement officers coming in and like mass federal law enforcement coming in and like kidnapping people, you know, attack helicopters, all this stuff was going to happen. They're going to chip your brain. They're going to be doing mass surveillance with you know, AI, automated mass surveillance on everybody, like Palantir. That's literally happening, right? Like all this stuff. Now that it's happening, many of those guys are just saying like, no, it's actually good. We really wanted it.
Biden, this is what I'm happy about. Would you be as excited then as you are now in that scenario? My guess would be probably not, because you would rightfully view this as an infringement on your rights as an American. Your Second Amendment right, where apparently even carrying a gun now is a crime punishable by death. Like, this isn't something anyone should be championing for, but because it's become such like a team-focused sport, people delude themselves into thinking that they have to support this, and thus they will abandon all of their beliefs in order to stay on this side. It's crazy to me. I truly don't even know what the solution here is, because people are just willingly, on their own accord.
Oh yeah, this is funny. As a conservative who's consistently voted on the right, I feel like we're being used to usher in something very dark in the coming days, all in the name of peace and safety. Maybe some are getting it, you know? Anyway, let's finish this video.
No longer trusting what they see and what they know to be true. They would rather just have the government tell them what's true. So that way they don't have to do any level of thought for their own. How do you fix that? I genuinely do not know. I have no idea. I don't know how you can watch this footage and multiple angles of this situation and still come out trusting the government's word on the series of events that unfolded when you can yourself watch the footage and prove them false. What do you do to someone that just refuses to at least try and see things clearly? I don't know, but it's tragic and it's only getting worse. It is so
Respect the MoistCritical.
out of control. I had to yap about this. I've been actually fuming all day. So yeah, that's really about it. See ya.